What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt and this is Patriot Comics. Welcome to today's video. So as you read in the title, I'm going to show you how I clean and press comic books at my home. Just a disclaimer, I am not a professional. I have been practicing and working on all different books, of course, starting off with much less expensive comics and learning the different tips and tricks, which I'll show you some today. And I've been practicing for a couple years now, and now I do work on my own key comics as well. Also, there are a lot of professionals out there that offer their services. So if you're looking to send your comic out for grading, or you just want to preserve it to keep it in your collection, you know, there are many professionals out there that offer their services with cleaning and pressing. But I enjoy doing this on my own at my home with some of the books I have in my collection. So as you see in front of you today, there are two pretty big books. We have Marvel Premiere 28, which is the first appearance of Legion of Monsters, one of my favorite books, and also Werewolf by Night issue number 1, the first in the series, first standalone werewolf title. Really excited to work on these two books. I just recently picked them up at a Comic-Con. You might have seen that video a couple weeks ago, but I do want to work on these books a little bit. They need a light cleaning, and this one specifically, the Werewolf by Night number 1, definitely needs a press, and I'll go ahead and press this one as well, because in my press, I am able to do two comics at once. So I figured, why not work on both of these? So I'm going to show you the little tips and tricks that I do to do a cleaning, and then we'll go over to my pressing machine, and I'll show you exactly how I press the books. So my first tip here is my favorite tools of the trade. First one here for cleaning is just a regular old cotton makeup removing pad. You can get these at the dollar store, a whole roll of them for $1. And my wife always has these on hand. So I use these and I just lightly clean the surface of the cover and the back cover. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then my next favorite tool is also from the dollar store. It is a retractable eraser. So it's just a white eraser. I prefer the white erasers over the pink erasers. Nothing really specific why, but I just feel like it does a better job. So these I will use on any white surfaces. So like in the white of the trade dress on Werewolf, any white backgrounds, but you want to be very careful because this eraser will take off color, so you have to be very gentle and very cautious and careful. I do suggest, if you've never cleaned or pressed a comic, definitely start with something you pull out of the dollar bin, like a 50-cent or $1 comic, something that you can practice on and you're not worried about, if you mess something up. So God forbid if you are working on a big key book like this, that's worth, a couple $100, you definitely don't want to mess them up. So you have to be very cautious. Sometimes I do wear latex gloves, nitrile gloves. Today I ran out of gloves, so I'm just going to be very gentle. There's a lot of oil on your hands, so you don't want to be like touching the surface of the books and everything too much. So I'm going to be very gentle with the way I handle the books. But as you see, let's start off with the first comic here. You could see, it has a lot of color breaking creases here. But if you look in the light, there is a little bit of a fold right here. Not sure if I can get the light to reflect that, but I believe a nice press will take that out. You see that little fold right here, little crease. It is somewhat color breaking, but I believe it'll look much better with a press. So there's a couple of those little creases here and there, and a good press will take that out. And as you see here on the back cover, it is white, so that allows me to go with this eraser and just gently clean, and I'll just kind of like real gently rub the eraser and just work my way slowly around the entire book. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all off camera. I just kind of want to show you what I use and how I do it. This eraser works magic. So what I do first is take the cotton swab and I just gently go around the whole book, cleaning it, wiping it down, being very gentle because you don't want to rip a page. You don't want to be too abrasive with it. Of course, it's just cotton. It's not going to hurt the comic, but you know, you don't want to put too much pressure on there. So I'm going to go around on the front and back covers of both of these and just give a nice little cleaning, you know, just go around the whole book. And then you'll notice there'll be a lot of dirt residue, you know, you'll see it come up on the cotton pad. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first with the cotton pads. Then I'm going to go around with the eraser and I'm going to go and work on all the books. So this one as well, as you see, it has a little bit of that foxing and little staining, and that's just from being handled over the years. So I believe this eraser will definitely clean a lot of this up right here. You can see some of that little just kind of dirt residue. So I'm going to go ahead and work on these, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all finished cleaning. And then we'll go over to the presser, and I'll show you exactly how I press the comics. All right, so I'm all done with my dry cleaning process. I cleaned with the cotton pads, and I also cleaned all the white with the eraser tool. So I think they came out really nice. When I finished with the eraser tool, I went and did a whole nother round with the cotton pads just to make sure that there was no residue left over. So as you see, the white in the trade dress looks pretty clean, but with the back covers, it really just makes such a world of difference getting all that dirt and residue off of there. And once it's pressed, it's going to look like $1,000,000, I think. So this one came out pretty well as well. I got all the white in the letters cleaned with the eraser, as well as Ghost Rider's skull there. And then the back, man, what a difference. This was a really dirty back cover, and the eraser tool just worked magic. There's a couple little spots that don't come out, but you know what? That's fine. There's also a little staining because there was a piece of tape stuck to there, but you know what? It looks 100% better. So now let's head over to the comic press, get these all prepped and ready to press, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. All right, so here is my comic pressing station. I have my little workbench here, and this is my comic press. I ended up getting this off of Amazon for $150, and I think it works great. I've had no issues at all. The brand is Better Sub, which is a brand I've never heard of, but you know, it's made in China, and it was fairly inexpensive, but I've had no issues at all, and it's been working great for over a year now. So I'm actually really happy with this purchase. It's a clamshell design. You lift the lever and then clamp it back down when you're ready. And I'll show you that process in just a moment. I also use this steamer here. So this is just a regular steamer for clothing. It was about 20 bucks from Walmart, but this produces humidity, which I use to humidify the comics before you press them. So we'll get into that process now. I just wanted to show you what two tools I'm using at the comic pressing station. All right, let's grab the books, get them prepped for pressing, and then I'll show you how I use the machine and the steamer. So before we can press the book, we want to prep it for the pressing process. The first thing you're going to do is take your book and gently open it to the centerfold and find the staples there. And then I'm going to use, what I prefer to use is a Golden Age size backer board. So I'm going to stick that in there nice and straight in line with the staples. I'll stick it in there. I'll make sure that it sticks out the top and out of the bottom and out of the sides. So that'll keep your book nice and sturdy and keep the staples in line so you're not pressing the staples into the pages. So you want to put that backer board in there, make sure it's sticking out of both sides and the front, and that's ready there. Now I'm going to take some heavyweight paper. This is about 60-pound paper. I got this out of like a sketchbook from an art supplies type place. So it's like a little bit thick. It's not as thick as cardstock or not as thick as a backer board, but it's about 60-pound paper. So first I'm going to insert one piece in between the front cover and the inside of the book. And really carefully, trying to do this behind the camera is not easy, but let's flip it over and we're going to insert another piece here in between the back cover and the inside pages as well. And we're going to make sure that's flush, nice and straight in the spine of the book. And now you have a piece of that 60 weight paper in between the back cover and then in between the front cover. And we have our Golden Age backer board right in the middle to hold the staples in line. And that is all you need to do to get the book ready to be pressed. So I'm going to do that to the other book, and then we'll go over to the pressing station and get these humidified, and then we'll press them. All right, so we're here at the pressing station. I'm going to open up my press, and as you see here, I put this steel plate on the bottom of the press. The press comes with this rubber type material as its bottom, but it's a little squishy, and I wanted a more solid surface for when it's putting pressure down on the comic. So I got this steel plate from Home Depot. It was about $10, and it just gives a nice solid flat surface for the comic to be pressed down on. So we have our steel plate, and then I put a few other things. I have a Teflon sheet. This is a non-stick Teflon sheet. It's actually used for like cooking. You can cook cookies on it or whatever, but I put it here as another non-stick surface. And then I actually put a piece of parchment paper. And this just keeps everything non-stick, and you know, it just works well. I've been doing this for over the last year, and it's been working really well for me. Some people don't do all these different layers, but this is just what I do. So, you know, definitely do more research besides my video here. So we have the steel sheet, the Teflon sheet, and the piece of parchment. Now we're going to place our books in here and see if I can do this one-handed. Gently lay our books in here. We have our first book, Legion of Monsters, and then we have our next book, and I'm actually going to put it upside down and backwards so the spines are facing each other. And it just allows this excess of the sheets that are sticking out to just be on the outside. It gives me more room. And this is a 15-inch by 15-inch square clamshell press, which I didn't mention before. It's 15 by 15. So that allows me to have 2 comic books being pressed at the same time, which is great. Some of the smaller presses, you can't get 2 books in. And it's good for doing Golden Age, for doing magazines, doing all different types of comics and larger comics as well. So it allows me to have 2 comics at once being pressed, which saves me a lot of time. So we have both our books in here, and then we're going to do the humidifier. So we have my steamer here. All I do is click it on. I have it full of water, and I'm going to wait for it to get to temperature, and all the steam will start coming out. So we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so our steamer, as you see, is ready to go. It's pushing out steam, and you don't want to get too close because sometimes it will spit out some water droplets. But what we're going to do is just introduce some moisture into these books. And as you'll see, the pages start to curl and move a little bit, and the moisture is soaking into these books. So I'm going to go and do this for maybe about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. Just make sure I get all of those creases that are in the cover and make sure I get everything humidified and ready to press. So we'll be right back. All right, so the books are all set with the humidifier. Now, like I said before, I'm going to lay the layer of parchment paper here carefully without moving the books. And then I'm going to put the piece of Teflon. And like I said before, that just puts a extra protection, keeps everything non-stick, and it's just a good protective surface between the hot plate of the press and the book itself. All right, so I did turn the machine on. It's just a button right down here. You just flick it on. You could set your temperature and you could set a timer as well. So I like to set it at about 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is a good temperature for, you know, older books, golden, silver, Bronze Age. If it does have a magazine type cover, like a modern book, I will set the temperature much lower, probably around 125 to 130 degrees, and see we're getting up to temperature. And as for time, usually I have it set at 600 seconds. You can adjust the temperature and the time with these buttons down below, but I'll put it for about 600 seconds and usually just shut the machine off as soon as it gets down to maybe 50 seconds left or something like that. I'll flick the machine off. So depending on what type of book it is, this one, wasn't horrible, and some of these pages were a little bit brittle. So I'm going to probably do maybe 450 seconds to 500 seconds. You could do the math. That's however many minutes. And I'm going to get this to temperature. Once it's ready, we will shut the press, let it go for the amount of time with the heat on. And then once that's done, we will turn the machine off and keep it, the press closed, so it'll cool down gradually. And I actually leave it overnight. I'll usually leave it for at least 24 hours. So it gets a hot press for about 500 to 600 seconds, and then a cold press and a cool down for at least 24 hours. So we're here about temperature. Looks like it's actually at 171, which is totally fine. That's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead, clamp this down. Woo! It's got a very tight clamp to it. So there you go. It's going, and our timer, once you shut the machine, the timer is going here. So we're going to let that go. And like I said, as soon as it's finished with the timer, I'll turn the machine off, I'll let it cool down, and I'll let it sit in the cold press for at least 24 hours. All right, so I will see you in 24 hours, and we'll take a look at what kind of results we got from the pressing and cleaning of these two key comics. All right, so there you go, folks. We finished the cleaning and pressing of these two key comics that I just recently added to my collection. I think the results are great. I'm really happy with the way they came out. All of those little wrinkles and creases that were in the covers are now totally flat. They look great. Of course, these books are not in the highest of grade. There are color-breaking spine ticks. There's color-breaking creases, which you cannot remove with a press. Pretty much once they're there, they're there. But we did do that cleaning process, the dry cleaning with the eraser tool. We got all of the white in the trade dresses very nice and clean. We cleaned up those back covers, which were very dirty. So that eraser tool really worked magic. And we used those cotton pads to give a nice dry cleaning, which removed any kind of dirt off of the books before we gave them a press. So here you have it. You saw the close-up videos. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about my methods and how do you think these books came out? You know, are you happy with the results? Because I definitely am. So that's it for today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's cleaning and pressing video. This is how I clean and press comics at my home. Of course, like I said, I'm not a professional. Definitely do your research. And if you are going to clean and press books yourselves, make sure you practice with less expensive books. Pull some books out of the dollar bin. Do a little practicing with the cleaning. And if you do have a comic press, you know, practice with the press with other books and then work your way up to the bigger books. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed everything. Smash that like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos just like this. And also ring that notification bell so you can see when I upload my next video. And as always, folks, I'll see you on the next one.